I never thought I'd find myself here, surrounded by the musty smell of old age and disinfectant. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and after my divorce, I needed something, anything to fill the void, so here. I am Andrea Mitchell, 29-year-old. English teacher spending my Saturday at Tampa Senior Care Center. You must be the new volunteer, a raspy voice greets me. I turn to see an elderly woman, her eyes twinkling with mischief. I'm Gladys. I hope you're ready for some excitement. I can't help but chuckle. I'm Andrea, and I think I can handle whatever you throw at me as Gladys leads me through the facility. I notice a vibrant mural adorning one of the walls. The colors seem to dance, bringing life to the otherwise sterile environment. I find myself drawn to it, my fingers itching to trace the intricate patterns. Beautiful. Isn't it? A soft voice interrupts my reverie. I turn to find myself face to face with a woman who could have stepped out of one of the paintings herself. Black hair frames her face like a halo, and her green eyes seem to pierce right through me. I'm Vanessa, she says, extending her hand, the art therapist, as our hands touch. I feel a jolt of something. It's not quite electricity, but it's definitely not nothing. I quickly pull away my cheeks, flushing Andrea. I manage to stammer out, I'm new here. Vanessa's smile widens well. Andrea, welcome to our little family. I have a feeling you're going to fit right in for the rest of the afternoon. I find my eyes constantly drawn to Vanessa. There's something about her that I can't quite put my finger on. The way she moves, the sound of her laugh, it all seems so familiar yet entirely new. As the day winds down, I'm helping clean up the art supplies when I notice a photo. On the bulletin board, my heart stops. It's a group picture of the staff, and there, standing right next to Vanessa, is a face I never thought I'd see again. Ellie Thompson. My high school girlfriend memories come flooding back, stolen kisses behind. The bleachers whispered promises of forever, and the heartbreak that followed when her family moved away. I always wondered what happened to her, and now, here she is working at the same place. I've chosen to volunteer. Andrea, Vanessa's voice snaps me back to reality. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I force a smile. I'm fine, just remembering something. Vanessa looks at me curiously, but doesn't push well. If you ever want to talk. I'm a pretty good listener. It's kind of part of the job description. As I drive home that evening, my mind is a whirlwind of emotions. The familiar ache of my recent divorce mingles with the bittersweet memories of my first love, and then there's Vanessa with her kind eyes and an infectious laugh. I grip the steering wheel tighter, trying to ground myself. I'm a respected teacher, for God's sake. I have a life, a career. I can't afford to get caught up in whatever this is, but as I fall asleep that night, it's Vanessa's smile that follows me into my dreams, and for the first time in months, I feel a glimmer of something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. The next few days pass in a blur of lesson plans and grading, but my mind keeps drifting back to the senior care center, to Vanessa, to Ellie. It's like I've opened a door to my past that I thought I'd locked forever. I find myself standing in front of my bathroom mirror, scrutinizing my reflection. My brunette hair is pulled back in its usual neat bun, and my blue eyes look tired. I wonder what Vanessa sees when she looks at me, what Ellie might think if we came face to face again. Get it together, Andrea. I mutter to myself, you're not that girl anymore, but aren't I? The memories come flooding back, unbidden. Ellie and I sneaking out to the football field at midnight, the way her blonde hair shimmered in the moonlight, the taste of her cherry lip gloss, the thrill of rebellion mixed with the terror of being caught. I shake my head, trying to dispel the images. I have a life. Now a career. I'm respected, admired. Even what would my students think if they knew? What would their parents say the next Saturday? I find myself back at the care center. My heart races as I walk through the doors, half hoping, half dreading to see Vanessa or Ellie. Well, look who's back. Gladys's raspy voice greets me. I was beginning to think you'd abandon us, honey. I force a smile. Never. You're stuck with me now. As I help Gladys with her physical therapy exercises, I can't help but scan the room. No sign of Vanessa or Ellie. I'm not sure if I'm relieved or disappointed. You looking for someone? Gladys asks. her eyes twinkling mischievously. No, I'm just getting familiar with the place. I stammer. Gladys chuckles, honey. I may be old, but I'm not blind. You've got that look in your eye, the same one I had when I met my Harold. I feel my cheeks flush. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't, Gladys? Winks, just remember, life's too short for regrets. Take it from someone. Who knows? Before I can respond, I hear a familiar laugh. Vanessa walks in. Her arms full of art supplies, our eyes meet, and she smiles. My heart does a little flip. Andrea, you came back, she says, setting down her supplies. I was hoping you would, yeah. Well, I couldn't let Gladys down. I joke weakly. Vanessa laughs, of course. Not, hey, one to help me set up for the art therapy session. I nod, following her to a large table as we arrange paints and brushes. Our hands occasionally brush against each other. Each touch sends a jolt through me that I try desperately to ignore. So, Andrea, Vanessa says casually, tell me about yourself. What do you do when you're not brightening up our weekend? I hesitate. I'm a high school English teacher. Vanessa's eyes light up. Really? That must be fascinating. All those young minds to shape. I shrug. It has its moments. What about you? How did you end up here? Vanessa's smile turns wistful. It's a long story. Let's just say I needed a change, and this place gave me a chance to start over. There's something in her tone that makes me want to know more. But before I can ask, the room starts filling up with seniors for their art therapy as the session progresses. I find myself captivated by Vanessa's passion and skill. She moves from person to person, offering encouragement and gentle guidance. I can see why the seniors love her. Suddenly, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around and my heart stops. Standing before me is Ellie Thompson, looking as beautiful as she did in high school, if a bit more mature. Andrea, she says, her voice a mix of surprise and something else I can't quite place. I thought that was you. It's been God. How long has it been? 15 years? I managed to say, my mouth dry. Ellie nods a sad smile on her face. 15 years? I thought about you, wondered what happened to you. I want to say something, anything, but the words won't come. All I can think about is the last time I saw her, tears streaming down her face as she told me her family was moving away. Ellie, Vanessa's voice breaks the tension. I see you've met our new volunteer. Ellie's eyes widen. You two know each other. We just met last week, Vanessa says, looking between us curiously. Do you two know each other? I opened my mouth to respond, but Ellie beats me to it. We went to high school together. The understatement of the century. I can see the questions in Vanessa's eyes, but thankfully she doesn't push. As I drive home that evening, my mind is in chaos, seeing Ellie again has stirred up feelings I thought I'd buried long ago. And then there's Vanessa with her kind eyes and gentle touch. I grip the steering wheel tighter, trying to steady myself. I'm not that scared teenager anymore. I'm a grown woman with a life, a career. I can't afford to get caught up in old flames or new attractions. But as I fall asleep that night, it's Vanessa's laugh and Ellie's sad smile that follow me into my dreams, and I can't help but wonder what tomorrow will bring. The following week drags by, each day a battle between my carefully constructed life and the tumultuous emotions stirred up by my encounters at the senior care center. I find myself daydreaming during faculty meetings, my mind wandering to Vanessa's laugh and Ellie's familiar smile. When Saturday finally arrives, I'm a bundle of nerves. As I pull into the center's parking lot, I take a deep breath, steeling myself for whatever the day might bring. There's my favorite volunteer, Gladys, calls out as I enter. Her enthusiasm is infectious, and I feel some of my anxiety melting away. Hey, Gladys, ready to cause some trouble today? I tease, falling into our usual banter. She winks at me. Honey, I was born ready. As I help Gladys with her exercises, I can't help but scan the room. No sign of Vanessa or Ellie. Yet I'm not sure if I'm relieved or disappointed. Looking for someone special, Gladys asks, her eyes twinkling mischievously. I feel my cheeks flush. I don't know what you're talking about, Gladys chuckles. Sure you don't, sweetie? Just remember what I told you about regrets before I can respond. I hear Vanessa's voice behind me. Andrea, I'm so glad you're here. I turned to see her standing there. A bright smile on her face. She's wearing a flowy blouse that brings out the green in her eyes, and I find myself momentarily speechless. Yeah, I'm here. I stammer out mentally, kicking myself for sounding so awkward. Vanessa doesn't seem to notice. Great. I was hoping you could help me set up for today's art therapy session. We're doing something special. I nod, following her to the supply closet as we gather materials. Our hands brush against each other more than once. Each touch sends a jolt through me that I tried desperately to ignore. So Andre, Vanessa says as we work, I've been meaning to ask you something. My heart races. Oh, she nods, her expression turning serious. I was wondering if you'd like to grab lunch with me sometime, you? No, outside of here. I freeze, my mind going blank. Is she asking me out? Or is this just a friendly invitation? I've liked that I hear myself say before I can think better of it. Vanessa's face lights up. Great. How about next Saturday? I nod my head. Spinning, what am I doing? I'm a respected teacher, for God's sake. I can't be seen, but the thought trails off as I look at Vanessa's radiant smile. The rest of the morning passes in a blur. I help with the art therapy session, marveling at Vanessa's patience and skill with the seniors every now and then. Our eyes meet across the room, and I feel a warmth spreading through my chest as we're cleaning up. Ellie walks in. She stops short when she sees us, her eyes darting between Vanessa and me. Oh. Hi, she says, her voice strained. I didn't realize you were still here. Andrea just finishing up. I reply, trying to keep my voice neutral. Vanessa looks between us, her brow furrowed. Is everything okay? Fine. Ellie and I say in unison, then share an awkward laugh as I drive home that afternoon. My mind is a whirlwind of confusion. The memory of Ellie's strange smile mingles with the anticipation of lunch with Vanessa. What am I getting myself into? The week that follows is both endless and too short. I throw myself into my work, staying late to grade papers and plan lessons, anything to keep my mind occupied. But in the quiet moments when I'm alone with my thoughts, I can't help but wonder, what if I had fought harder for Ellie all those years ago? What if I hadn't married Jan, trying to be the person everyone expected me to be? And then there's Vanessa, sweet, kind Vanessa, who looks at me like I'm something special, who makes me feel things I thought I'd buried long ago. Saturday arrives. Before I'm ready, I stand in front of my closet, agonizing over what to wear. This isn't a date. I tell myself it's just lunch with a friend, but as I walk into the small cafe where we agreed to meet, my heart racing. I know I'm lying to myself. This is so much more than just lunch. Vanessa is already there, waving me over to a cozy booth in the corner. She looks stunning in a simple sundress, her black hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. I'm so glad you could make it, she says, as I slide into the seat across from her. Me too, I reply, and I'm surprised to find I mean it as we talk over sandwiches and iced tea. I feel myself relaxing. Vanessa is easy to talk to, her laugh infectious. We share stories about our work, our families, our dreams. Can I ask you something? Vanessa says as we're finishing up. What's the deal with you and Ellie? I can't help but feel like there's some history there. I freeze my half-eaten sandwich, forgotten. This is it, I think, the moment of truth. Ellie and I start, then pause, taking a deep breath. We were more than just high school friends. Vanessa's eyes widen in understanding. Oh, she says softly, and now? I shake my head. Now, we're just two people with a shared past, nothing more. Vanessa reaches across the table, her hand covering mine. The touch sends sparks through my entire body. Andrea, she says, her voice gentle. It's okay, you know, to be who you are. I look into her eyes, seeing nothing but acceptance and something else, something that makes my heart race. As we leave the cafe, walking close enough that our hands occasionally brush, I feel a sense of possibility I haven't experienced in years. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop hiding, time to embrace the colors I've kept hidden for so long. But as we say goodbye, a nagging doubt creeps in. What will this mean for my career, for my life? I ready to face the consequences of living authentically? I drive home, my mind a battleground of fear and hope. One thing's for certain. Nothing will ever be the same again. The week following my lunch with Vanessa is a roller coaster of emotions. I catch myself smiling at random moments, remembering her laugh, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, but then reality crashes in. And I'm left feeling guilty, and confused on Wednesday as I'm leaving school. My phone buzzes with a text from Ellie. Can we talk? It's important. My heart races as I type back a quick. Sure, we agree to meet at a local park the next day after school. The following afternoon, I spot Ellie sitting on a bench, her blonde hair glowing in the late afternoon sun. She looks up as I approach, a nervous smile on her face. Hey, I say, sitting down beside her. Hi, Andrea, she replies, her voice soft. Thanks for meeting me. There's an awkward silence before Ellie takes a deep breath. I'm getting married. She blurts out the words, hit me like a punch to the gut. Oh, I managed to say congratulations. Ellie nods, not quite meeting my eyes. Thanks, it's two. Sarah, you remember her? She was in our chemistry class senior year. I vaguely recall a quiet girl with red hair and freckles. That's great, Ellie. I'm happy for you. Another silence falls between us. I can feel the weight of unspoken words of shared history. I wanted you to hear it from me, Ellie finally says. Before it becomes official, we're announcing it at work next week. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. A part of me wants to scream, to ask why she's telling me this. Another part wants to run away and never look back. Andrea. Ellie's voice is barely above a whisper. I'm sorry for everything, for leaving, for not fighting harder for us. I shake my head, feeling tears prick at my eyes. It wasn't your fault, Ellie. We were kids. We didn't know how to fight for what we wanted. She reaches out her hand, hovering over mine before pulling back. I've thought about you, over the years, wondered what might have been me too. I admit the words, feeling like a betrayal to the life I've built. We sit there for a while, lost in memories and what ifs. As the sun begins to set, Ellie stands. I should go. She says Sarah's waiting for me. I nod, standing as well. Ellie, I call as she starts to walk away. She turns back. I really am happy for you. She smiles, a hint of sadness in her eyes. Thanks, Andrea. I hope you find your happiness too. As I watch her walk away, I feel a chapter of my life closing. It's bittersweet, but there's also a sense of relief, of closure. The next day at school, I'm distracted. During my classes, my students notice, exchanging confused glances as I stumble over words I've taught it 100 times before. During lunch, I overhear two of my colleagues discussing the upcoming school board meeting. Did you hear Mrs. Thompson, the biology teacher? Whispers they're going to discuss the new LGBTQ policies. Mr. Johnson, the paid teacher, scoffs about time. These kids need guidance, not encouragement. I feel my face flush with anger and shame. Is this what I've been afraid of, these narrow-minded opinions? That evening, I find myself sitting in the back of the crowded auditorium as the school board meeting begins. The tension in the room is palpable as the topic of LGBTQ policies is brought up. We need to protect our children, one parent argues. These lifestyle choices shouldn't be promoted in our schools. They're not choices. Another parent counters, and our LGBTQ students deserve to feel safe and accepted. The debate rages on, and I sit there, my heart pounding. I think of my students, of the struggles they might be facing. I think of myself hiding who I am for fear of judgment. Before I know what I'm doing, I'm on my feet. Excuse me, I say, my voice shaking slightly. I'd like to speak. All eyes turn to me as I make my way to the microphone. I take a deep breath, feeling like I'm about to jump off a cliff. My name is Andrea Mitchell. I begin. I've been teaching English at this school for 7 years, and I'm a lesbian. The room falls silent. I can feel the shock rippling through the crowd. I've hidden this part of myself for years. I continue, my voice growing stronger out of fear of losing my job, of being judged. But I can't stay silent anymore, not when I see the pain and confusion in my students' eyes, not when I hear the hateful words being thrown around so casually. I look out at the sea of faces, some supportive, some angry, many Just confused our LGBTQ students need to know. They're not alone, that they're valued and accepted for who they are, and those who don't understand need education and compassion, not judgment and fear. As I finish speaking, there's a moment of stunned silence. Then from the back of the room, someone starts to clap, others join in the applause growing louder, but I also see the frowns, the shaking. Heads, I know this isn't over, that there will be consequences. As I make my way back to my seat, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Vanessa, you're amazing. Call me when you're done. I smile, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders, whatever happens next. I know I'm not alone. The meeting continues, but I barely hear it. My mind is racing with the implications of what I've just done, my career, my life, and Tampa. Everything could change, but as I sit there surrounded by the noise of debate, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Pride in who I am and the truth. I've finally spoken as the meeting adjourns. I slip out quickly, avoiding the curious glances and whispered conversations in my car. I take a deep breath before dialing Vanessa's number. Andrea, her voice is warm, concerned. Are you okay? I laugh, a sound somewhere between joy and hysteria. I don't know, I admit, what I think. I will be the days following the school board meeting are a whirlwind. My phone buzzes constantly with messages from colleagues, parents, and even a few brave students. Some are supportive, others not so much. I'm called into the principal's office first thing Monday morning. Principal Harris, a stern woman in her 50s, regards me with an unreadable expression. Andrea, she says, her voice carefully neutral, you've certainly stirred things up. I straighten my spine, preparing for the worst. I stand by what I said, Miss Harris, she sighed, rubbing her temples. I'm not asking you to recant, Andrea, but you have to understand. The position you've put us in, some parents are demanding your resignation. My heart sinks, but I force myself to meet her gaze. And what do you think? She's quiet for a long moment. I think you're one of our best teachers, and I think what you did was brave, but it's not going to be easy. I nod, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. I understand, thank you. As I leave her office, I spot a group of students huddled around a bulletin board. They fall silent as I approach, and I realize they're looking at a crude drawing of me with some hateful slurs scrawled across it. My cheeks burn with shame and anger, but before I can say anything, one of the students, a quiet girl named Emily, rips the paper down. That's not cool, she says, her voice shaking slightly. Miss Mitchell is a great teacher. The others nod, mumbling agreement as they disperse. Emily catches my eye and gives me a small smile before hurrying off to class that afternoon. I receive a text from Vanessa, tough day, want to talk. I hesitate for a moment before replying. Actually, yes, can we meet? We agree to meet at a small park near the senior center. As I pull into the parking lot, the sky opens up, rain pouring down in sheets. I dash from my car, but I'm soaked by the time. I reach the covered picnic area where Vanessa is waiting. Oh, Andrea, she says, her eyes is full of concern, you're drenched. I laugh, the sound bordering on hysterical. Yeah, well, it matches my mood. Vanessa steps closer, her hand reaching out to brush a wet strand of hair from my face. The touch sends a shiver through me that has nothing to do with the cold rain, tell me. She says softly, and so I do. I tell her about the principal, the hateful drawing, the whispers in the hallways, but I also tell her about Emily's small act of kindness, about the supportive messages I've received. As I talk, the rain continues to pour, creating a curtain of water around. Says it feels like we're in our own little world, separate from the chaos of the past few days. I don't know what to do, Vanessa. I admit, my voice barely audible over the rain. I've spent so long hiding who I am. Now that it's out there, I'm terrified. Vanessa steps closer, her green eyes intense. You're the bravest person I know, Andrea. You stood up for what you believe in, for who you are. That's amazing. I shake my head, feeling tears mixed with the raindrops on my face. I don't feel brave. I feel scared and alone. You're not alone, Vanessa whispers, her hand cupping my cheek. I'm right here. And then as the rain pours down around us, Vanessa leans in and kisses me. It's soft and tentative at first, but then I'm kissing her back, all the pent-up emotion of the past weeks pouring out when we finally break apart. We're both breathless. Vanessa rests her forehead against mine, her thumb gently stroking my cheek. I've wanted to do that for weeks, she admits with a small laugh. I smile, feeling a warmth spread through me despite my wet clothes. Me too. We stand there for a long moment, just holding each other as the rain begins to let up, as the sun breaks through the clouds. I feel a sense of hope that I haven't experienced in years. So Vanessa says, taking my hand, what happens now? I take a deep breath, squeezing her hand. I don't know, but I think I'm ready to find out. As we walk back to our cars, hand in hand, I feel a sense of peace settle over me, whatever challenges lie ahead. I know I won't face them alone. The next few days are a roller coaster. Some of my students go out of their way to show support, leaving encouraging notes on my desk, or simply offering a smile in the hallway others avoid. Eye contact clearly uncomfortable with the new knowledge about their teacher. My colleagues are similarly divided. Some, like Sarah from the math department, make a point of sitting with me at lunch and engaging me in conversation. Others suddenly have urgent business elsewhere when I enter the teacher lounge, but through it all, Vanessa is my rock. We talk every night, sometimes for hours. She listens to my fears, shares my small victories, and reminds me why I chose to be honest in the first place. On Friday afternoon, I'm packing up to leave, there's a knock on my classroom door. I look up to see Emily, the student who tore down the hateful drawing, hovering nervously in the doorway. Miss Mitchell, she says, her voice quiet. Can I talk to you for a minute? I nod, gesturing for her to come in. Of course, Emily, what's on your mind? She takes a deep breath, twisting her hands together. I wanted to say thank you for being honest about who you are. It means a lot to me and to others like me. I feel my throat tighten with emotion. Oh, Emily, I say softly. Thank you for telling me that it means more than you know. She gives me a shy smile before hurrying out, leaving me with tears in my eyes and a renewed sense of purpose that evening as Vanessa and I walk along the Tampa Riverwalk, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. I feel a sense of contentment I haven't experienced in years. I say, squeezing Vanessa's hand for the first time in my life. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Vanessa smiles, leaning in to kiss me softly. Me too, Andrea, me too. As we continue our walk, I know that challenges still lie ahead, but with Vanessa by my side and the weight of secrets finally lifted from my shoulders, I'm ready to face whatever comes next. For the first time in my life, I'm not just existing, I'm living. The weeks following my coming out are a whirlwind of emotions and challenges. Each day brings a new test of my resolve, but also moments of unexpected joy and support. One Monday morning, I arrive at school to find my classroom door plastered with rainbow-colored sticky notes, each bearing a message of support from my students. You rock, Meme. Thanks for being you. You're an inspiration. I stand there reading each note with tears in my eyes until the warning bell snaps me back to reality. But not everyone is so accepting. During a staff meeting, I overhear Mr. Johnson, the PE teacher, muttering to a colleague, "It's not right having someone like that teaching our kids." Before I can react, Sarah from the math department speaks up. Someone like, "What exactly? An excellent teacher who cares about her students." Yeah. How dare we? The room falls silent, and I catch Sarah's eye mouthing a silent thank you. At home, things are equally tumultuous. My phone rings one evening, and I'm surprised to see my mother's name on the caller ID. We haven't spoken much since my divorce, Andrea. She says, her voice tight. Is it true what I'm hearing about you? I take a deep breath. Yes, Mom, it's true. I'm gay. There's a long pause, and I can hear her shaky breathing. I don't understand. You were married to a man. I know, Mom. I was trying to be who I thought I was supposed to be, but I can't do that anymore. Another pause. Are you sure? Maybe. It's just a phase. It's not a phase. I interrupt more sharply than I intend. This is who I am, who I've always been. The silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken words and years of misunderstanding. Finally, my mother speaks again. I need time to process this, Andrea. I hope you can understand that as I hang up, I feel a mix of relief and sadness. It's not acceptance. Not yet, but it's not outright rejection either to start the next day. I have a meeting with Principal Harris. My stomach churns with anxiety as I enter office. Andrea, she says, gesturing for me. To sit, we need to discuss the upcoming parent-teacher night. I nod, bracing myself for the worst. Some parents have expressed concerns about meeting with you. She continues her expression carefully neutral. I want you to know that the school board, and I stand behind you, your sexual orientation has no bearing on your ability to teach. Relief washes over me, but it's short-lived. However, she adds, we need to be prepared for potential confrontations. I'd like you to consider having another teacher present during your meetings, just as a precaution. I want to argue to insist that I can handle it on my own. But I know she's right. Okay. I agree that's probably for the best. As I leave her office, I spot Ellie in the hallway. She gives me a small, hesitant smile. Hey, she says, falling into step beside me. How are you holding up? I shrug. It's been interesting, but I'm okay. Ellie nods. Listen, I heard about parent-teacher night. If you need someone to sit in with you, I'd be happy to help. I'm touched by the offer, but something holds me back. Thanks, Ellie, but I think I'll ask Sarah for math. It might be less complicated. A flicker of hurt crosses Ellie's face, but she nods in understanding. Of course, just know that I'm here if you need anything. Okay. As she walks away, I feel a pang of regret, but I know it's the right decision. Our history is too complex, too fraught with what ifs and might have beens. That evening, I meet Vanessa for dinner at a small Italian restaurant. As we settle into our booth, I can't help but glance around nervously, half expecting to see disapproving stares. Vanessa reaches across the table, taking my hand. Hey, she says softly. It's okay. We're okay. I squeeze her hand, feeling some of the tension leave my body. I know it's all so new, being out, being this. She smiles, her green eyes warm. I know, but we're in this together, remember? As we eat, I fill her in on the day's events, the meeting with Principal Harris, the encounter with Ellie, my mother's phone call. Wow. Vanessa says, when I finish, that's a lot to deal with. How are you really feeling? I take a moment to consider honestly. Overwhelmed, scared, but also free for the first time in my life. I feel like I'm being true to myself. Vanessa's smile widens. I'm so proud of you. Andrea, you're incredible. You know that I feel a blush creep up my cheeks. I couldn't do this without you. I admit you give me strength. As we leave the restaurant hand in hand, I spot one of my students across the street. For a moment, panic rises in my chest, but then the girl waves, smiling broadly before continuing on her way. I let out a breath. I didn't realize I was holding. Maybe this is going to be okay. After all, I murmur. Vanessa squeezes my hand. It will be. We'll make it okay. The night of parent-teacher conferences arrives all too soon. Sarah sits beside me as steady presence. As parents file in and out of my classroom, most are polite, if a bit reserved. A few are openly supportive, thanking me for my courage. But then Mr. Jameson enters, his face set in a scowl. I want to know what kind of propaganda you're feeding our children, he demands without preamble. I take a deep breath, reminding myself to stay calm. Mr. Jameson, I assure you the only thing I'm feeding your daughter is a love of literature and critical thinking skills. He leans forward, his voice low and menacing. I don't want someone like you influencing my child. Before I can respond, Sarah speaks up. Mr. Jameson, Miss Mitchell is an excellent teacher. Her personal life has no bearing on her abilities in the classroom. If you have specific concerns about the curriculum, we'd be happy to discuss those. Mr. Jameson glares at us both before storming out as the door slams behind him. I let out a shaky breath. You okay? Sarah asks, concern etched on her face. I nod, managing a weak smile. Yeah, thanks for having my back. As the night winds down, I feel drained, but oddly triumphant. I face one of my biggest Fears head on and survive driving home. I call Vanessa, it's over. I tell her I made it through. I knew you would, she says, and I can hear the pride in her voice. How about we celebrate? I've got a bottle of wine and a shoulder to lean on if you need it. I smile, feeling a warmth spread through me that has nothing to do with the unseasonably warm Tampa night that sounds perfect as I pull into Vanessa's driveway. I realize that for all the challenges of the past few weeks, I wouldn't change a thing for the first time in my life. I'm living authentically, loving openly, and that's worth any struggle the weeks following parent-teacher night blend into. A blur of routine and small victories each day. One, find myself standing a little taller, speaking a little louder. The whispers in the hallways fade, replaced by a growing sense of normally one. Crisp Saturday morning as I'm helping Gladys with her exercises at the senior center. She fixes me with a knowing look. So you and Vanessa, I feel my cheeks flush. Is it that obvious? Gladys chuckles, honey. I may be old, but I'm not blind. You two light up like Christmas trees when you're together. Before I can respond, I hear a familiar voice behind me. Andrea, can we talk? I turn to see Ellie standing there looking nervous. I nod, giving Gladys a quick squeeze on the shoulder before following Ellie to a quiet corner. What's up? I ask, trying to keep my voice neutral. Ellie takes a deep breath. I wanted to apologize for how I reacted when you came out. I should have been more supportive. I feel a lump form in my throat, Ellie. You don't have to. She holds up a hand, cutting me off. No, I do. You were brave enough to be honest about who you are. I should have been brave enough to support you, regardless of our history. I nod, feeling a weight I didn't know I was carrying lift from my shoulders. Thank you, that means a lot. Ellie smiles, a hint of sadness in her eyes. You know, seeing you with Vanessa, it reminds me of how we used to be before everything got complicated. I feel a pang of nostalgia mixed with a twinge of guilt. Ellie, she shakes her head. No, it's okay. I'm happy for you, truly. And I'm happy with Sarah. I guess I needed to say it out loud to let go of the what ifs, you know. I'm not understanding all too well, I know, and for what it's worth. I'm sorry, too, for not fighting harder back. Then Ellie reaches out, squeezing my hand briefly. We were kids. We did the best we could with what we knew. Then, as she walks away, I feel a sense of closure wash over me, a chapter of my life finally coming to an end, making room for new beginnings. That evening, as Vanessa and I are curled up on her couch, I tell her about my conversation with Ellie. How do you feel about it? She asks, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on my arm. I consider for a moment, relieved, mostly like I can finally put that part of my past to rest. Vanessa nods, her green eyes serious. And us, how do you feel about us? I lean in, kissing her softly, like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. The next week brings a new challenge as Thanksgiving approaches. My mother calls again. Andrea, she says, her voice hesitant. I've been thinking, would you like to come home for Thanksgiving and bring Vanessa if you'd like? I'm stunned into silence for a moment. Are you sure, Mom? I hear her take a shaky breath. I'm trying, Andrea. I may not understand everything, but you're my daughter. I want to try. Tears prick at my eyes. Okay, Mom will be there. The drive to my parents' house in Orlando is tense. Vanessa reaches over, squeezing my hand as we pull into the driveway. It'll be okay. She reassures me. I'm right here with you. My mother opens the door before we can even knock. She looks older than I remember, worry lines etched around her eyes. Andrea, she says, pulling me into a tight hug. Then, to my surprise, she turns to Vanessa. And you must be Vanessa, please. Come in. Dinner is a stilted affair. At first, my father is quiet watching Vanessa and me with an unreadable expression, but as the wine flows and the conversation turns to safer topics, I feel the tension begin to ease. After dessert, my mother pulls me aside. Andrea, she says, her voice low, I want you to know I'm trying to understand. It's not easy for me, but I see how happy you are with Vanessa. That's all I've ever wanted for you. I feel tears welling up in my eyes. Thanks, Mom. That means everything to me. As we drive back to Tampa that night, I feel a sense of peace settle over me. It's not perfect, but it's a start the following. Monday, I'm surprised to find Principal Harris waiting for me in my classroom. Andrea, she says her. Expression serious, we need to talk about the GSA. My heart sinks the gay straight. Alliance has been a point of contention at the school for years. What about it? I think it's time we had one, she says, catching me off guard, and I'd like you to be. The faculty advisor, I'm speechless for a moment. Are you sure after everything that's happened? She nods firmly, precisely because of everything that's happened. Our students need a safe space, and you've shown incredible courage and resilience here. The perfect person for this as word spreads about the new GSA. I'm overwhelmed by the response. Students I've never spoken to before come up to me, thanking me for taking this on, even some of my colleagues, who had been distant since my coming out, offer their support at the first meeting. I'm amazed to see the classroom packed with students. Emily, the quiet girl who had torn down the hateful drawing, is front and center, a proud smile on her face. Welcome everyone, I say, my voice shaking slightly. I'm so glad you're all here. This is a safe space for all of us to be ourselves, to support each other, and to work towards making our school a more inclusive place for everyone. As I look out at the sea of eager faces, I feel a surge of hope. This, I realize, is why I became a teacher in the first place, to make a difference, to help shape a better future. That evening, as Vanessa and I walk along the Tampa Riverwalk, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, I feel a sense of contentment I never thought possible, you know? I say, squeezing her hand a few months ago, I was terrified of anyone finding out who I really was. And now Vanessa smiles, leaning in to kiss me softly. And now you're changing lives, Andrea. You're amazing. As we continue our walk, I reflect on the journey that brought me here. The fear, the pain, the moments of doubt, but also the joy, the love, and the incredible feeling of finally being true to myself. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in my life, I'm excited to find out with Vanessa by my side and a newfound sense of purpose. I'm ready to face whatever comes next, because now, finally, I'm living my truth and there's no going back as spring blooms in Tampa. I find myself marveling at how much has changed in just a few short months. The fear that once gripped me has faded, replaced by a quiet confidence I never knew I possessed. The GSA has become a vibrant part of our school community. Every week, one watches students who once kept to the shadows step into the light, finding their voices in their tribe. Emily, once so shy, has blossomed into a passionate advocate for LGBTQ rights. One balmy afternoon, as I'm tidying up after a particular lively GSA meeting, Principal Harris appears in my doorway. Andrea, she says, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. I have some news. I brace myself, unsure of what to expect. The school board has decided to implement a district-wide LGBTQ inclusivity program, she continues, and they want you to lead it. I'm stunned, me, but you're just the person who had the courage to be herself, no matter the cost. Principal Harris interrupts. You've inspired not just our students, but our entire community. This is your chance to make an even bigger difference. As the news sinks in, I feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. It's an incredible opportunity, but also a daunting responsibility. That evening, I share the news with Vanessa over dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant. Andrea, that's amazing, she exclaims, her green eyes shining with pride. I always knew you were destined for great things. I reach across the table, taking her hand. I couldn't have done any of this without you, you know. You gave me the strength to be myself. Vanessa smiles, squeezing my hand. You always had that strength. I just helped you see it. As we leave the restaurant hand in hand, I spot Mr. Jameson, the parent who had been so hostile at the parent-teacher conference. For a moment, I tense, preparing for a confrontation, but to my surprise, he approaches us looking sheepish. Miss Mitchell, he says, his voice gruff, I owe you an apology. My daughter, she came out to us last week, said you and that club of yours gave her the courage. I'm speechless for a moment. overwhelmed by the unexpected turn of events. Mr. Jameson continues, I didn't understand before, but seeing how happy she is now, well, I just wanted to say thank you for being there for her when I couldn't. As he walks away, I feel tears pricking at my eyes. Vanessa wraps an arm around my waist, pulling me close, you see. She says, softly, you're changing lives, Andrea, one person at a time. The next few weeks are a whirlwind of activity as I balance my teaching duties with planning for the new inclusivity program late one night as I'm poring over curriculum ideas my phone. Buzzes with a text from my mother, saw you on the local news. So proud of you, honey, Dad and I both are. I smile, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. It's not a grand declaration, but it's progress, and that's enough as the school year draws to a close. I find myself standing before a packed auditorium. Students, parents, and faculty members have gathered for the end of your assembly, and Principal Harris has asked me to say a few words about the upcoming inclusivity program. As I step up to the microphone, I catch Vanessa's eye in the crowd. She gives me an encouraging nod, and I take a deep breath. A year ago, I begin, my voice shaky at first, but growing stronger with each word. I was hiding who I was afraid of what would happen if people knew the real me, but then I realized that by hiding, I was teaching my students that it's okay to be ashamed of who you are, and that's not the lesson I want to teach. I pause, looking out at the sea of faces. I see Emily and her parents beaming with pride, Mr. Jameson and his daughter sitting close together, Ellie and Sarah holding hands discreetly. This inclusivity program isn't just about LGBTQ issues. I continue, it's about creating a world where everyone feels safe to be themselves, where no one has to hide or pretend to be someone they're not, because when we embrace our differences, when we celebrate what makes each of us unique, that's when we truly thrive. As I finish speaking, the auditorium erupts in applause. I step back from the microphone, feeling a sense of purpose and belonging I've never experienced before. Later that evening, as Vanessa and I walk along the beach, watching the sunset over the Gulf of Mexico, I feel a sense of content wash over me, you know? I say, turning to face her. A year ago, I never could have imagined my life would look like this, being out, being happy, making a difference. Vanessa smiles, reaching up to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear, and now I lean in, kissing her softly. Now I can't imagine it any other way. As we continue our walk, hand in hand, I reflect on the journey that brought me here. The fear and doubt that once consumed me seem like distant memories. Now in their place is a sense of joy, of purpose, of finally being true to myself. I don't know what the future holds. The inclusivity program will bring new challenges, new opportunities to make a difference, but whatever comes, I know I'm ready to face it, because now I'm living my truth, and there's no greater freedom than that. As the last rays of sunlight paint the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, I squeeze Vanessa's hand. Thank you, I say softly. She looks at me, her green eyes reflecting the fading light. For what I smile, feeling my heart swell with love and gratitude for helping me find my colors, all of them. Vanessa leans in, resting her forehead against mine. Always, she whispers, and as we stand there, the warm Tampa breeze swirling around us, I know that this is just the beginning of my story, of our story, of a future bright with possibility and painted in every color of the rainbow.